What if the stars you idolized from Hollywood's golden age weren't exactly born with the faces that made them legends? Imagine finding out that the icons whose beauty and charisma defined an era were, in many ways, manufactured by a powerful machine that valued illusion over authenticity. Today, we're pulling back the velvet curtain on the golden age of Hollywood to reveal the transformations, some surgical, some psychological, that turned ordinary men and women into immortal screen gods. What you're about to hear isn't just gossip. It's a story about pain, perfection, and the heavy price of fame. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. You could win a limited edition box set featuring 50 of the most iconic Golden Age films, because behind every one of those frames lies a story you'll never forget. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Now, let's begin our journey through old Hollywood's deepest and most guarded transformations. 17. Marilyn Monroe, the bombshell's secret sculpting. Everyone knows Marilyn Monroe wasn't born blonde, but very few realize how deeply she transformed to become the world's most recognizable woman. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, her early photographs show a sweet, innocent face that lacked the confident allure she later embodied. According to several reports and her surgeon's notes, Monroe underwent a subtle yet defining chin implant to strengthen her jawline. That small change completely reshaped her face, giving her the sultry proportions that photographers adored. Rumors of a delicate rhinoplasty also follow her legacy, with early modeling photos showing a softer, rounder nose. Monroe feared exposure more than anything else, because in the 1950s, cosmetic surgery wasn't glamorous, it was career suicide. Every time a camera flashed, she risked her secret unraveling. Behind that dazzling smile was a woman terrified of being found out. 16. Rita Hayworth, the love goddess's painful reinvention. When you picture Rita Hayworth, you probably see cascading red hair, perfect symmetry, and effortless grace. But before she became the love goddess, she was Margarita Carmen Cancino, a talented dancer whose natural hairline was considered too low for the camera. The studio's brutal solution? Electrolysis. For over 2 years, Rita endured weekly sessions where electric needles destroyed individual hair follicles to raise her hairline. The process was agonizing. Hayworth later said it felt like pins of fire pressed into her scalp. Her forehead remained scarred and hypersensitive for months, forcing makeup artists to layer concealers and light directors to adjust angles just to protect her from exposure. The transformation worked. She became one of Hollywood's greatest beauties, but the pain never left her. Every glamorous close-up carried the ghost of that suffering. 15. Clark Gable, the King's dental disaster. Clark Gable's rugged charm defined masculinity for a generation. But behind that confident grin lay a secret so shocking it could have shattered his image. Gable's natural teeth were in terrible shape, crooked, decayed, and so painful that he eventually had them all removed. In their place, a full set of dentures. Unfortunately, early dentures weren't exactly discreet. His co-stars whispered that Gable's breath was unbearable. Vivien Leigh, his Gone with the Wind co-star, once complained that kissing him was like kissing an old man. Studios scrambled to hide the problem, stocking sets with mouthwash and mints. Even worse, during intense scenes, Gable's dentures would sometimes slip. Editors had to cut around those moments to preserve the illusion of perfection. The King of Hollywood was quite literally built on artifice, from his teeth to his carefully curated persona. 14. Elizabeth Taylor, the violet-eyed beauty's weight wars. Elizabeth Taylor's beauty seemed eternal, but it came at an enormous price. Her weight fluctuated wildly, sometimes by 70 pounds in a single year, forcing costume designers to remake wardrobes and camera crews to adjust every angle. Taylor's struggles weren't purely cosmetic. Doctors prescribed her appetite stimulants after surgeries and accidents, leading to rapid weight gain. The studios panicked. They hid her changing body behind elaborate gowns and soft-focus lenses, desperate to regain her look Taylor turned to extreme crash diets, creating a dangerous cycle that ravaged her health. Her beauty was legendary, but the cost was invisible, a lifelong battle with her body, fueled by an industry that demanded perfection. 13. John Wayne, the Duke's secret hairpiece. The Duke, the symbol of rugged American manhood, was almost completely bald by his 30s. Every morning before stepping onto set, John Wayne sat through hours of wig preparation. His hairpieces were custom crafted from human hair and cost thousands of dollars each. During fight scenes and horseback sequences, Wayne's toupees often slipped, forcing crew members to halt production. There are even outtakes showing the hairpiece tilting mid-punch. Despite the risk of embarrassment, Wayne never appeared on camera without it. His image depended on that illusion of virile strength, and he guarded it like a soldier defending a frontier. 12. Bing Crosby, the crooner's bald truth. Bing Crosby was the picture of easygoing charm, but in truth, he was terrified of being seen without his toupee. Bald by his 30s, Crosby's public persona, the relaxed, boyish everyman, was incompatible with baldness in Hollywood's beauty-obsessed age. He owned multiple identical wigs and traveled with a personal hair specialist. He refused to appear in public bareheaded, even among close friends. Directors occasionally had to reshoot scenes when his toupee shifted under hot lights. Beneath that calm, cool exterior was a man haunted by the fear of discovery. 11. Fred Astaire, the dancer's delicate secret. Graceful, elegant, seemingly weightless, Fred Astaire moved as if physics itself admired him. Yet his famous top hat hid a fragile secret. He wore a hairpiece for most of his career. Because of a strain of constant dancing, his wigs had to be secured with industrial-strength adhesive and clips. During passionate dance numbers, his partners, especially Ginger Rogers, often complained that stray hairs from Astaire's toupee would end up stuck to their costumes. Each performance was a ballet of control, precision, and concealment. Behind every perfect step was the fear that one wrong move might make the illusion fall apart, literally. 10. Gary Cooper, the silent type's dental drama. Gary Cooper's quiet confidence made him the quintessential American hero, but even he had his hidden vulnerabilities. Early in his career, Cooper suffered from chronic dental decay, forcing him to undergo months of reconstructive surgery. The procedure altered not only his smile, but his speech. Listeners with a keen ear can hear the subtle difference in his diction between early and later films. The studio disguised his medical leave as exhaustion, fearing that fans would interpret the truth as weakness. Cooper's famous slow drawl wasn't just style, it was adaptation, a man learning to speak through pain and reconstruction. 9. Joan Crawford, the reinvented face of ambition. No one embodied reinvention like Joan Crawford. Born Lucille Fay Lesueur, she underwent one of Hollywood's most thorough makeovers. The transformation began with dental reconstruction, her overbite corrected through multiple surgeries that reshaped her entire jawline. The result was a profile so different it could have belonged to another woman. But Crawford didn't stop there. She had her natural eyebrows completely removed and redrawn into the sharp, high arches that became her signature. Combined with her luminous skin and precise posture, Crawford's image screamed control, a woman sculpted by willpower and pain. She wasn't just remade by Hollywood, she remade herself into Hollywood. 8. Rock Hudson, the All-American Mirage. Rock Hudson was the embodiment of the all-American leading man, tall, handsome, deep-voiced. But none of it came naturally. His early voice was soft and boyish, and his teeth were severely crooked. Over several years, Hudson underwent extensive dental work and relentless voice training to develop the masculine baritone that defined him. He wore temporary caps during shoots, carefully enunciating to prevent them from slipping. Off-set, he worked tirelessly to perfect his speech, practicing deep, vocal exercises to lower his register. The man the world adored was, in truth, the product of a meticulous transformation, crafted not just by studios, but by his own iron discipline. 7. Frank Sinatra, the hair transplant pioneer. Frank Sinatra's silky voice and sharp style made him an icon, but by his mid-30s, his receding hairline became a source of torment. Desperate to preserve his youthful look, Sinatra underwent some of the earliest hair transplant procedures, painful and inconsistent experiments that left visible scarring. To disguise uneven patches, he wore partial wigs and used elaborate styling to blend transplanted hair with synthetic strands. Photographers learned to avoid high-contrast lighting, and makeup artists applied powder to his scalp to hide the evidence. Sinatra's cool exterior masked a man deeply anxious about losing control over his own image. 6. Marlon Brando, the method actor's metamorphosis. Marlon Brando's body became as legendary as his acting, but it was also a canvas of struggle. The young Brando was lean, intense, magnetic, yet as fame grew, so did his weight. Over the years, he gained more than 100 pounds, his body transforming into something unrecognizable from his streetcar days. Health issues and emotional battles contributed, but his defiance of Hollywood's beauty standards also spoke volumes. Directors restructured scenes to fit his changing frame. Costumes had to be redesigned and lighting softened. Brando's transformation was less about vanity and more about rebellion, a refusal to keep performing the illusion that once made him a god. 5. Orson Welles, the genius consumed. Orson Welles, the visionary behind Citizen Kane, was a man of boundless appetite for art, for food, for life. But his excesses consumed him. As his weight ballooned by more than 150 pounds, Welles found himself literally outgrowing his sets. Crews reinforced furniture to hold his weight, and cameras were carefully angled to flatter his figure. He joked about it publicly, but the truth was tragic. Hollywood abandoned its prodigy when his image no longer fit the leading man mold. His genius remained untouched, but his body became his prison, a reminder of how cruelly the industry turns on those who break its aesthetic code. For Lauren Bacall, the manufactured mystique. Lauren Bacall's smoky voice and piercing stare made her unforgettable, but neither came naturally. Her deep tone was the result of exhaustive voice training. In her early days, Bacall's voice was light and girlish, so she practiced reading lines while holding a chair to strengthen her diaphragm. Over time, she sculpted her voice into that mesmerizing low register. Her trademark look, that downward glance followed by a piercing gaze, wasn't calculated glamour, it was fear. Bacall later admitted she developed it because she was too nervous to face the camera directly. From that anxiety came one of cinema's most seductive gestures, proof that sometimes insecurity becomes style. 3. Cary Grant, the gentleman who built himself. Before he was Cary Grant, he was Archibald Leach, a poor boy from Bristol who dreamed of reinvention. Hollywood didn't just change his name, it rebuilt his entire identity. Grant trained relentlessly to erase his working-class accent, replacing it with a polished, mid-Atlantic tone that sounded both American and British, both everywhere and nowhere. He studied movement, posture, and expression. Every gesture, every smile was rehearsed until effortless. Grant's transformation wasn't surgical, it was psychological. He engineered himself into the perfect man, and in doing so, lost sight of who Archibald had been. 2. Judy Garland, The Chemical Tragedy. Perhaps no star better embodies the cost of transformation than Judy Garland. As a teenager, MGM executives decided she was too plump to be a leading lady. Their solution was chilling, daily doses of amphetamines to suppress her appetite and barbiturates to make her sleep. The cycle destroyed her body and mind. Her weight fluctuated, her moods swung violently, and her dependence deepened. Garland's physical transformation made her a star, but it stole her childhood and ultimately her life. The tragedy wasn't that she changed, it was that she was never allowed to stop changing. 1. Rita Moreno, The Cultural Reinvention. Rita Moreno's transformation was perhaps the most insidious of all, not because it was physical, but because it erased her identity. Born Rosa Dolores Alvario in Puerto Rico, she was remade into the industry's idea of a generic Latin beauty. The studio darkened her hair, exaggerated her makeup, and typecast her into stereotypical roles that mocked her own culture. Though she became an Oscar-winning legend, Moreno later confessed that Hollywood's transformation left her feeling invisible, caught between pride and shame. Her journey stands as both triumph and indictment, a reminder that transformation in Hollywood was often another word for assimilation.